Hey there, this is Clay with RelationshipInnerGame.com. I am the world's leading expert on breakups for high achievers. Okay, and in today, what we're going to be talking about are 5 signs that you are going to crash and burn with your ex, right? So maybe you're about to, reach out to them, contact them. Maybe you're about to have a heart-to-heart conversation with them. Maybe you're about to spill your guts to them and tell them your emotions and everything like that. Are you going to crash and burn? Let's find out. The first sign that you're going to crash and burn with your ex is that you're really only focused on yourself and your own experience, and you don't really have any sort of empathy or connection with what their experience is, okay? Now, I understand that a lot of people going through breakups are in a lot of pain, and it's, a very real sensation to have that like punched in the gut feeling, or that feeling where it just seems like everything just like drops down when you find out, oh, they're in a rebound relationship, or oh, they said this or did that or whatever. I totally get that. That's very real, and it's only natural to want to focus in on that and pay attention to that when it's your experience. But just know that just focusing only on what you're experiencing is not likely to help you to create a positive interaction with your ex that's going to inspire them to want to get back together. If your main case for why we should get back together is because I feel bad and I want to get back together with you so that I won't feel bad anymore, that's not a very compelling case to the other person, right? And so what you want to make sure that you're doing is, number one, it's totally fine that you're feeling however it is you're feeling. I'm not telling you that that's wrong at all. You can absolutely feel however you're feeling. But what I also want you to do is simultaneously hold in your mind how your ex feels. How do they feel when you call and ask them to get back together? How do they feel when you send them a message? How do they feel when you're interacting? How do they feel when you're connecting? How do they feel when you're talking, right? So when you can start to see things from their point of view, it will help you to kind of adjust how you are approaching them and how you're talking about things like getting back together or building new connections with them and all of those good, delightful things. But when you're only stuck on your own experience, you're not really calibrating to where they're at. And instead, you're only letting the single force that's guiding you be how you feel in that moment. And if you feel bad, then you're going to feel motivated to do things that may be completely out of alignment with where your ex is at emotionally, right? And when there's that disconnect, when you're out of alignment with one another, it only moves you further apart from each other. So what you want to do is stay connected to how your ex is feeling, stay empathetic towards how your ex is feeling, and remember to keep yourself seeing things from their point of view, and that'll help you a lot when it comes to avoiding crashing and burning with your ex. Now, the second sign that you might crash and burn with your ex is when you are focused exclusively on the relationship as opposed to the connection between the two of you, right? So, I know that we are a very status-driven society where we want to have the merit badges of achievement, whether that's the relationship, the marriage, the connection, the fancy car, the job, whatever it is, right? We're very status-driven, our society is. And so when you're going through a breakup, you're like, okay, I used to have this relationship and I want to get that relationship back. But what I'm trying to tell you here is if you're focused on the relationship, you're probably going to have a more difficult time. And what I want you to focus on instead is the emotional connection between you and your ex. Because the emotional connection will give you the relationship. The relationship will naturally evolve out of having a strong, good, solid emotional connection. But if you go after the relationship itself will not create the emotional connection. The relationship itself won't do that. I'm sure you probably know some couples out there that have been married for decades, and sure, they're still technically married, they're still technically in a relationship with one another, but all the passion's gone. They don't really like each other. They're just kind of hanging out, kind of putting up with each other and stuff like that. So that should show you that the status, the relationship, it doesn't create the connection. And instead what you want to do is focus on the connection first, at the exclusion of any sort of status or relationship or anything like that, right? So what this means for you specifically is I don't want you to go out there talking to your ex, talking about like, hey, you know, like when do you think we can talk about getting back together again? Hey, when do you think we can talk about being in a relationship again? Hey, you know, I know it's been like 3 months or something, but do you think we can get back together yet? Like, I don't want you to talk about things like that. I want you to instead focus on building a strong emotional connection between you and your ex, okay? And that emotional connection, when it is strong enough, it will naturally give rise to the relationship, okay? So don't pursue the relationship, pursue the connection, all right? And the number 3 reason why you might crash and burn, the number 3 sign that you might crash and burn with your ex is that you haven't made any real substantial changes, right? So breakups happen for a reason. And there could be a number of different reasons why a breakup happens. You know, it could be because of a fight. It could be because of a lack of trust. It could be because somebody didn't think that you had the same values or wanted the same life that they wanted, or well, whatever it is, right? And unless there's some kind of real substantial change that's going to show them why they should want to get back together with you, they're probably going to be a little bit hesitant, a little bit like, I don't know, like you still don't seem like you're sorry about what you did, or you still don't seem like you want to get your act together, or whatever it is, right? And so as long as there is that, as long as the conditions are in place that caused the breakup to happen in the first place, as long as those are still there, it's going to be a much, much, much harder thing for your ex to be open to and for them to, you know, want to consider. So you're going to have to really make sure that you make some positive changes. You know, again, I don't know specifically why your individual breakup happened. It could be because of a number of different things, but you're going to have to look back and think like, okay, well, you know, my ex was concerned that maybe, you know, my career wasn't shaping up or something like that. Like, what have I done to maybe get that part of my life handled a little bit better, right? Or maybe it's an emotional thing about connection and empathy. Like maybe they just didn't feel that connection. Like, what have you done to have a better, stronger connection with them? I mean, obviously you want to work on the connection in every particular scenario, but there's obviously some external things too. Like maybe it's a career thing, maybe it's a money thing, maybe it's a trust thing, maybe it's a whatever thing. But beneath all of that, always focus on the connection as well. But just know that if you have not made any real substantial changes, any reason for your ex to believe that things are going to be different if they get back together with you, you're probably going to have a tough time and you may actually crash and burn. Now, the number 4 sign that you might crash and burn is if you are overly reliant on scripts and templates and techniques and stuff like that, right? So I know that a lot of people, you know, I've been helping people for a lot of years, and I know that a lot of people, you know, they just want to know, what are the words that I say? Like, how do I text my ex to get them to want to talk to me? Or like, what should I say when my ex says this? And if you are constantly needing somebody to whisper into your ear what the next thing you're going to say is, it's really a bad sign, because you're kind of using it as a crutch, right? Because, you know, sure, maybe there is some sort of template or script out there that will tell you what to say in order to get your ex to open up to you again. But from there, let's say it works. Let's say your ex has opened up to you again. Like, what do you do from there, right? Like, sure, there could be another script, another template, and that might be useful, but what happens if the conversation deviates from that ever so slightly, and your ex is suddenly asking you about this, or suddenly they throw you a curveball, or suddenly they throw you this other thing out of the blue? And, you know, if you're caught off guard and you don't know how to respond to that, it's gonna be pretty clear that you don't really know what you're doing, and they're just gonna pull away, and they're gonna be like, whoa, something's going on here. This is like totally fake. Like, what's happening here? And that is why I don't really advocate for scripts and templates and stuff like that. I mean, sure, sometimes people need a little bit of a guiding hand, but beyond that, you have to work on how to have those interpersonal skills, those advanced relational skills that we talk about in the other videos and in the course and all of that stuff, because those are what's going to help you when things kind of go off the rails, right? Those are what's going to help you kind of naturally connect, naturally right yourself when you get sort of knocked sideways, naturally guide things in the way that you want them to go without having to memorize a bunch of these BS scripts, right? Like the answer isn't to just memorize a possible thing to say for every potential outcome ever, right? Like, so there's a TV show in the United States called Monk. It's about this obsessive compulsive detective. And there's this one episode where he is going out on a date with a woman, right? And he has OCD. So, you know, he gets to the point where he has to call her and ask her out. And so what he does is he makes a stack of note cards with every possible thing that she could say and his response to it, right? And so he's like, hello, how are you today? And then he has like an answer for good, an answer for bad, an answer for this, and however she responds, he picks up the card and he's like, oh, that's nice. Have you heard about, you know, and like, I don't want you to have that kind of relationship because number one, it's kind of dead, right? There's no life to it. It's just kind of dead. You're just sort of like robotically reading off this thing. Number two, it's not rewarding because it is dead. And number three, there's no real emotional connection there. You're just kind of reading stuff off. And that's not fun. That's not going to help you out in the long run. That's not what you want. I don't think that's what you want. If it is what you want, then this is probably not the right YouTube channel for you. So please, work on those interpersonal skills, work on the advanced relational skills that we talk about over on the website, relationshipinnergame.com. And I think that'll help you a whole lot more than the scripts, than the templates, than the techniques, and all of that stuff, okay? And the fifth sign that you might crash and burn with your ex is that you just don't know why the breakup happened at all in the first place. And you know, yeah, there are some breakups that happen out of the blue, but I think for most people, if you look back over the relationship, if you look back over what happened between you and your ex, you probably could tell that there was something bad looming on the horizon, right? Like maybe you didn't know it was as bad as it was. Maybe you thought that you two of you could work things out. Maybe, you know, it just kind of like popped up and you thought it was like a minor issue, but it turned out it was actually like a major issue. That can be something that can kind of help you understand why the breakup happened so that you can do some of the other things we talked about before, like make some real changes that show your ex that things are going to be different or improve the connection or any of those other things, right? But if you're just like totally lost in the dark about why your ex broke up with you, then that is very dangerous, and it could be a sign that you're about to crash and burn because you're kind of walking blindly through a minefield and you don't know what those emotional landmines are that might blow up when you step on them the wrong way, or when you mention something, when you bring something up, when you make some sort of joke, or when you make some sort of comment or something like that. So it's really important that you understand why your ex broke up with you. So if you need to, sit back, replay the last several months or weeks of your relationship and see what was going on. What was your ex unhappy about? What were they complaining about? What did they want to improve on? What were you unhappy about? What were you dissatisfied with? And start to kind of piece that together, okay? And then from there, go on and work on some of those other things like the emotional connection or making the real permanent changes to show your ex that they're not walking back into the same relationship. So again, I hope this has helped you out. Please, if you want any more help, go over to relationshipinnergame.com and sign up there for our email newsletter so that we can start sending you tips, advice, and strategies to help you get back together with your ex. This has been Clay Andrews, and please, if you've liked this video, please like it and subscribe to this channel. It helps us out. It helps us get more exposure on YouTube. And again, if you would like some more help, please head on over to relationshipinnergame.com. And until then, I will talk to you next time.